Hi, I'd like to welcome you to the new training for treadmills that we do in both the Thornton and the Aurora areas. Thornton treadmills are done at 9191 Grant, Suite 100 down in the basement. It's the Bronco Sports Medicine Rehab. This is the treadmill that we use in the Thornton area. This treadmill has 3 on and off switches. The first switch is the computer switch. You'll find it at the center located on the computer part of the treadmill. The second switch is located on the left-hand side of the computer. It's the printer. And the last switch to be turned on is the treadmill itself, and it's located on the right-hand side at the very back of the machine. Once the computer starts, double-click on the Quinton icon, signified by where the yellow arrow is at. The next screen you will see, you'll find the Q stress, again indicated where the yellow arrows are. As the computer loads, you'll see the Quinton Incorp Q stress indicator loading. Once your patient arrives, you will double-click on New Patient Test. Enter the patient's last name, then first name, and click Search. Your next step will be to click on New if your search comes up empty. After you push New, this is where you'll be. You'll need to put in the last name, their first name, the medical record number, which I use as the date, and 01 if it's the first patient, 02, so on. You'll go down, the next will be your treadmill. You're going to do the 2-minute Bruce. It's for a CAD study. You will put attending physician. You just put your name, a referring physician, your name, and click Enter. After you've got all that information put in, you need to print patient's record. Okay, now you're ready for your patient. You're going to secure the electrode harness to the patient tight enough that it's not going to slip or fall during the procedure. Place the electrodes in the position for a 12 lead. Secure the wires with Coban. Then you're going to have your patient sit down and push or double click the 12 lead on the sitting man to get a sitting resting 12 lead. Have your patient stand up again. Click on the 12 lead again. That's indicated by the blue arrow. Then have the patient step onto the treadmill. Once you've got him there, you begin with the exercise, the red arrow, and that's going to elevate the front of the treadmill, and then you're going to start the belt. Once your patient has reached his target heart rate, then you're going to go into the recovery mode. Your target heart rate is 220 minus his age and 85% of that. Also, you want to look for a METs of greater than 10 as indicated by the yellow arrow. Once they have hit that, you're going to hit the recovery or double click on the recovery, and that's where the red arrow is indicated. As indicated before, during the test, you're going to do a blood pressure every 2 minutes. At the end, when we're in the recovery mode, you're going to do a blood pressure every 1 minute. Realizing that during the exercise, when the treadmill speeds up and the individual has to start running, it's a lot harder to get that blood pressure. Once the test is over, you now need to print a partial report as indicated by the red arrow. As this is printing, you may remove the electrode wires and have the patient step off the treadmill. The patient can now remove those electrodes, and you can close the test as indicated by the blue. You will find the paper located on the right-hand side of the computer and paper printer. To reload this, if you look at the arrows, you'll see that the arrow is showing that you have to slide the top sheet underneath and hit the feed button and get it to catch and come up through. Once you've got that, then you can close the top again. I am currently working on a place to place the supplies. Some of the other things that I need to make sure you're aware of is, number one, you have a bottle of alcohol in there. It's got a little hole in it. When you're done, you want to make sure you clean the blood pressure cuff. Also, it's a good idea to cleanse the individual's chest with alcohol. Put it on a paper towel and kind of wipe their chest off before you place the electrodes. It helps them stick a little bit better. And that's the end of the Thornton Treadmills. Now we're going to go out to Aurora. It's a totally different machine. And let's go ahead and start that training. Aurora treadmills are done at 1444 South Potomac, Suite 200. Take the elevator up to the second floor, come off the elevator to your right, immediately go down the hallway on your left and around, and you'll see a little room on the very back corner of that, and that's where our treadmills are done. This is the Aurora treadmill. The computer is on the right and the treadmill is on the left. This machine only has one switch, and it's over on the right-hand side of the machine, next to where we keep the electrodes, as indicated by the yellow arrow. You will push that. Once you have that pushed, the machine will start up, and you'll find it comes up with three icons. The one on the right says User, and you're going to double-click on it, and the password for that is User with a capital U-S-E-R. As with the last machine, you're going to click on, when your individual arrives, you're going to click on New Test. So you'll put in last name, first name, and click Accept. If it does not show you the patient, then you'll go down and you will put in a new patient. Again, last name, first name. You're going to put in their date of birth. Where the arrow indicates this is the patient ID number, so it's indicated by a pair of dice. You just double click on it, and you're going to want to get the patient's height in inches. You want to get their weight and their gender, and then click Accept. Once you hit Accept, the patient will show as a blue line. You're going to double click on that blue line. We're going to put in a little more information here. You're going to click here. This is going to be the semi-Bruce. Here it's going to ask you for the reason for the test. There's a drop-down box. Click on looking for CAD. Type of test is a stress test. Ordering department requesting the test is if it's Aurora Fire or Aurora PD or Douglas County Sheriff, you're going to put that in. Referring MD will be Health 1, Denver Broncos Sports Medicine, and the tech will be you. You're going to list any medications in this field. Once you're done, you're going to click OK and be ready to start the test. One of the things that I found real helpful is if you'll hit the F2 key on the keyboard, it'll bring up a little box down in the bottom of the screen that helps you with the begin exercise and start the treadmill. So you want to make sure that you have that available. Again, that's F2 key. A couple of little things that will help you with this process is, number one, clean their chest with alcohol, and then use this spray that will help with the conduction of the electrodes. I usually use a paper towel, put a little alcohol in it, wipe their chest down, then spray this onto a paper towel and wipe their chest down again. This is the harness for the Aurora treadmill. You're going to have them hold that next to their stomach and wrap it around them with the strap. Tighten it tight enough that it's not going to slip or fall during the course of the test. Okay, you have all the information in, you're ready to start this test. You're going to have the patient, again, hold the paddle of the electrodes, secure it tightly, put the electrodes in place. If you bring this up during your putting the electrodes on and everything, you'll find that these will light up green when they're all ready. Just as in the Thornton treadmill, the Aurora treadmill does the same thing. It's on a 2-minute increment. It'll raise the treadmill and speed up. You start at a 10% grade, and then you walking at about 1.5 miles, then it'll go up to about a 12 to 14% grade and increased up to about 2.5 miles per hour, and just increases through all the levels. Again, what are you looking for? We're looking for their maximum heart rate, which on this machine doesn't automatically calculate it necessarily, but if you look to the right of the machine of the computer, you'll find on the wall a list of ages and maximum heart rates. And I would recommend that you just write that down on the piece of paper that they're going to give you, and make sure that when you hit that, you put them into the recovery mode. Again, if you use the F2 key, it's really simple to see. And away we go. Make sure you're taking blood pressures every 2 minutes during the test and 1 minute during the recovery period. The recovery period, what we're looking for is to get them down below a heart rate of 100. Sometimes it takes quite a while, especially if these people are not in that good a shape. The recovery time may take quite some time. Unlike the Thornton treadmill, the Aurora treadmill has an emergency stop. I explained to them that if they're having any chest pain, any shortness of breath or anything, they can just hit this button and stop. Now, that being said, you want to be very careful as you're working around this machine and try to avoid bumping it, because it will shut the machine down and we have to start all over. The paper feed on the Aurora treadmill is a little different in the fact that you'll see where the arrow is pointing, there's a little hole there, and that's the point of contact, or the point where the machine feeds. And if that is off, you're going to have a little bit of trouble. So there's times it's taken me several attempts to get that lined up correctly, and you may find that also. All the extra supplies are on the filing cabinet that sits right behind you. There's also a list of directions there on the file cabinet that tells you what you need to do if you get lost. If you get lost, you can also call me. To the right of the treadmill are our electrodes. They come in packets of several. Use what you need to, and those that you don't use, reseal them or refold them. Just fold the packet up and secure it with paper clips. Also in the file cabinet behind you, you'll find all the different forms that you may need for whomever is coming in. Just make sure they do last name, first name, and date of birth, and then you have it to attach to the completed 12 lead when they're done. You'll see anywhere from 14 to 20 plus pieces of 12 lead. When you complete this, you want to put it all together and take it to Tom, who's out in the other room, so that he can take it up to the cardiologist. So if you have any questions, please feel free to call me at 720-298-6754. Again, that's 720-298-6754.